Capital is a means of production. A car factory, and let's treat a car factory like it's just one singular object, a car factory. A car factory is a capital good because it produces a consumer's good, something that consumers will buy, cars. Now, what is a capital good and what is a consumer's good is subjective. For example, a person who wears shoes to work. Did he buy those shoes for their utility in and of themselves, or did he buy those shoes as a piece of work equipment to help him produce other things? So there can be ambiguous cases and something can be both a capital and a consumer's good. But let's simplify for analysis' sake and just deal with a factory as a capital good. For some reason, the capitalist has acquired a factory. Perhaps he bought it after receiving a loan from a bank which needs to be paid back, in which case the bank is similar to the weapon maker in the previous example, and the capitalist is like the weapon maker when compared to the laborers. Or perhaps he bought it with his own funds. Whatever the case, the capitalist then hires workers to work in the factory. These workers get paid some wage, be it an absolute wage, a percentage of sales, or a mixture of both. This wage is much less than the value of that which they produce. And the reason it's less than the value of that which they produce is because the product was made with other resources which had to be bought and was made in a factory which costs money to operate. The workers get a wage, the capitalist may or may not get a wage himself, and there may be some profit left over. Profit is often viewed as exploitative, and many wonder why the capitalist is able to take just some money off the top here. Indeed, why is he? And why do chemical engineers get paid so much? The answer is that both the capitalist and the chemical engineer are providing a service. The capitalist is taking a risk and or deferring consumption. If he's taking a loan, he may not be deferring consumption, by opening a car factory. And he thinks he knows more about consumer demand that isn't being satisfied than everyone else. That is, he thinks he has an idea for a cool car that everyone is going to want to buy. If you think this is a bunch of crap and that the capitalist is not providing a service, then cool beans, start a co-op, or a worker-run business, or a non-hierarchical firm. If that mode of production is able to produce cars that people will buy, then workers should get together, pony up the money for a factory and or get it from a bank and start making cars. That this is not happening suggests to me that the capitalist, sometimes called the entrepreneur, is indeed providing services. And that service is planning the structure of production. If he is a crappy planner, his firm will fail and he'll lose everything that he's built up through his entire life and maybe more. That capitalists/entrepreneurs come into existence in free human interaction is evidence that they do provide some service, and they certainly are not viewed with the same reverence as the state. What's more is that the capitalist competes with other capitalists, and if he is paying himself more than other capitalists are paying themselves, his firm will suffer. And if all capitalists in all firms raise their bonuses together, then like a sword of Damocles, the banks will provide funds for upstarts who are willing to pay themselves peanuts to smash the cartel. And the more difficult to predict the industry is, the more capitalists there will be. That is why when one thinks of cooperatives, they think of farms, because food is always in demand to some extent. And older, more settled industries tend to have less capitalists. That said, the current state of affairs within the claimed borders of just about every state on the planet is not a free market. There are all sorts of ways capitalists lobby the state to maintain their fortunes without taking any risks.